Hey everyone, I'm Katie and welcome to my brand new channel where I basically do my makeup and talk about whatever I want. There's not really going to be any theme to these videos. It's kind of anything that I'm interested in, so usually around psychology or history or... So a few messages before we get into it. One, I filmed this video honestly by now quite a bit ago. I had to refilm some parts because they somehow got deleted. And I was also kind of in a funky mood when I originally filmed, so a lot of things were kind of out of order, so I had to flip some clips around, so it may go from like no makeup to like some makeup and then back to another part, and I might have to interject from another day when I had to refilm, so full makeup of a different style. It is kind of messy and it's weird, but just hang in there with me and I promise next time I will be better. Another message, obviously I am a little late to the Purim party. It was supposed to be, this video was supposed to be posted on Purim. Unfortunately, because of all of the refilming and all of the bullshit I had to wade through, editing took a lot longer than I had expected. So I know I'm a little late. But with that being said, this video is going to be about Purim, which if you don't know is a Jewish holiday. It has just passed. It was on the 26th of February or the 27th of February if you are in Jerusalem, and I will explain that in the video. But without further ado, let's get back to your feature presentation. And I'm sorry for the messiness. I promise to be better next time. Happy Purim. Basically, this story has four important players. Okay, we've got King Ahasuerus, also known as King As. We've got Haman, that fuck. We've got Mordecai, fucking Mordecai. And we've got Hadassah, Queen Esther. So let's start at the beginning and talk a little bit about Queen Vashti. So Vashti was the king's daughter. Now, please don't be angry with me, but I'm just bad at pronouncing things. And the worst part of it is I have actually heard this story. So I have heard these names, not just read them and seen them, but heard them over and over and over. And somehow I still can't pronounce the names, which is one of the reasons why I can't call King Ass, because I'm still a little afraid I'm pronouncing his name wrong, even though I don't think I am, but I think I am. So Vashti was the daughter of King Belshazzar? Belsi. So King Belsi, and he was hanging with the peeps, you know, he was with Darius the Mede and some other people, and King Belsi was murdered. And there's just absolute chaos all over the palace. Everyone's running. Vashti is a little girl, so she's just running. And Darius the Mede, who is Ahasuerus' father, takes Vashti the Babylonian and basically marries her off to his son, Ahasuerus, who had been the king's steward. So he was not at her stature, like, at all. He was very much below her stature. So King As was the king of Persia. He ruled over 127 provinces from 486 BC to 465 BC in King As's third year of his reign. He wants to show his riches and splendor, so he has this huge feast for all the people in his kingdom, whatever. And it lasts 180 days. 180 days. 180 days. Who the fuck does that? It's fucking weird. This guy's fucking weird. But anywho, so that's what he does. And then he decides that's not enough. So he decides to throw another feast that is 7 days long for, and I quote, everyone great and small. So everyone came. But I want to be clear as well that it was not everyone, it was men. So it was all the men, great and small. All of his men were there. So Queen Vashti decided at this time that her husband was having his huge feast for only men, because patriarchy, that she was going to have a similar kind of banquet for women. So she had the banquet for women, and she had it in the palace, which was not done. But then she decided to also hold it in these extravagant and spacious rooms so that all of the women could be as promiscuous as they wanted without prying eyes or shame. So that was another thing that a lot of the rest found unnerving about Vashti, is that she, one, had her banquet for women in a place that was not for women, and she was kind of encouraging these women to do whatever they wanted, basically. So on the 7th day, the King Ass was just super fucking drunk. He's so drunk, and all of the men are really, really drunk, and they're having a grand conversation amongst men about which women are the hottest. So they're kind of talking about, like, who is the fairest kind of woman. One guy is like, oh, it's totally the Medes. And another was like, no, it's Egyptian. No, it's this kind of woman. And the king was like, well, my wife is Babylonian, and she is the fairest of them all. And his friends were like, bro, prove it. And so he was like, I will call her here. Do you want me to call her here? And they were like, hell yeah, we do. You should call her here and have her come to us in the royal diadem, and only the royal diadem, so we can look upon her beauty and judge for ourselves. And the king is like, yeah, that's a fucking awesome idea. So he sends one of his eunuchs, I believe it was a eunuch, he sends someone to the banquet for women to bring Vashti to the men's feast so that they can all look upon her. And if you didn't get before what I was saying, she would be naked. Completely naked. So, yeah. So, they go and they tell Vashti, the king requests your presence, and he wants you to be completely naked because they want to see how beautiful you are. And she sends out 3 different messages, and I want to make sure I get them exactly right. I wrote it down because it's so good. I think like 4 different messages. The first message she sent out was, if they see me and think me beautiful, they will want to lie with me and they will kill you. And if they see me and think me ugly, you will be disgraced because of me. And he was like, literally don't care. Please show us your boobies. And she said, you were my father's steward, and you were accustomed to have naked harlots come before you. Now that you have become king, you have not mended your degraded ways. He didn't care. He sent for her again. My father Belshazzar, my father Belsi, my father would drink wine in the measure of 1,000 men and would not be inebriated, while you act the fool from the wine of a single man. Didn't care. And so finally she says, you want me to come naked. Even my father, when he judged litigants in a trial, would not judge them when they were naked. So she was really trying to appeal to his sense of pride, his sense of honor, like anything she could to be like, this is awful, I'm not doing this. But he kept sending for her, and finally she was just like, no, I'm not fucking coming. I'm not doing that. It's disgusting, and I'm not gonna fucking do it. So she refuses him, and he is pissed. He's livid, and he asks his eunuchs, what should I do? And this one eunuch who had a daughter, and he was kind of hoping that she would be queen, so he wanted her to marry King X, obviously. So he kind of had this other reasoning for what he said, which was basically, you should kill that bitch. And all the other eunuchs agreed. So he had 7 eunuchs, okay? There were 7 royal eunuchs, and they all agreed that she should die. And that he should literally serve her head on a platter. Because apparently that is something that people actually said, and is not just dramatized for film. Or maybe it is. Maybe this whole story is dramatized. I don't know. But basically, they were like, yeah, dude, you should totally kill her, because now every woman in the world is gonna think that her husband is a fool, and they can just do whatever the fuck they want and, like, make their own choices, and they don't have to dance naked for their husbands and his friends. Like, that's bananas. Bro, that's bananas. So they were like, yeah, you should kill her. And he's like, that's a great fucking idea. Like, she's dragged out of her banquet for women and beheaded by a husband she never wanted, whose father probably killed her father. And it's just like, it's so upsetting. And then he sends out a decree naming all of the men of the household, any man of the household, as the leader, basically. Like, wives have to answer to their husbands. So yeah, he basically sends out this royal decree that is like, wives, you better fucking listen to your husband. But then, a couple days later, after he's sobered up and the party is all over, he, like, it's very the Hangover films style, where he just completely forgot what happened. I know, can't relate. So he completely forgets what happened during the banquet and is kind of looking for Vashti. Like, can't figure out where Vashti is. And it's so stupid. It's so stupid. So he's looking for his wife and he's like, dude, where's Vashti? And they're like, yeah, you killed her. He's like, no, why would I kill her? And they were like, yeah, you told her to come to the feast and show herself off to all of us so we could decide if she was the most beautiful or not, and she refused, so obviously you killed her. And he's like, that's insane. Who told me to do that? And they're like, well, the 7 eunuchs. So he so stupid. It's so bananas, okay? So he had all 7 eunuchs, all 7 royal eunuchs, he had them hanged. He had all 7 eunuchs killed for telling him to kill his wife. He's like, yeah, this is your fault. And they're like, but you didn't have to do it. Like, you're the king. You didn't have to do it. But whatever. He's like, this is obviously your fault. You made me do it. He's like feeling really bad about the whole Vashti thing. You know, with the whole sexual assault and trying to degrade her and humiliate her in front of all his people and then having her killed when she refuses. You know, that thing? In case we forgot from what I talked about 2 seconds ago. Yeah, so he's feeling hella shame right now. And so some of his young servants were like, oh, yo, bro, you know what you need? You need another queen. Like, that's all you need. It wasn't about Vashti. Like, you obviously didn't love her. Like, she's just a woman. Like, women can be replaced. It's fine. You just need to find another, like, really beautiful wife. And he's like, that is a tight-ass idea, bro. And so his young servants were like, oh, we have just the greatest fucking idea. And we'll put together a team of men in every province who will go out into their province and search for the most beautiful virgins. They were mostly like very young girls, like teenage girls. So all of these virgins were rounded up and taken to the women's house, which was run by the eunuch Haggai. Again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but we're gonna go with it. Haggai will spend a year with them, pampering them, putting them through proper proper beauty rituals and giving them proper beauty products, and then that is how you will choose a wife. And he was like, cool. So now let's introduce Esther, Hadassah. So Hadassah was a young Jewish girl, and she is orphaned. So her father died shortly after her conception. During Hadassah's birth, her mother dies due to childbirth, which happened a lot at that time, I'm sure, as we all know. So Hadassah is an orphan, so she, as a baby, goes to live with her cousin Mordecai. Now fast forward to this shit show. The decree has gone out telling everyone that they're rounding up the virgins to find a new queen of Persia, and start going out and they start, rounding up all the virgins, the girls, the little girls, the teenage girls, the children, just in case you forgot. Anyway, so Esther is rounded up with everyone else. So her cousin Mordecai urges her not to tell what her nationality is. So basically, don't tell them you're Jewish. Started going by Esther. So Esther is rounded up and taken to the house, okay? With all the other virgins, all the other victims of child sexual trafficking. Mordecai would often be seen pacing back and forth in front of the gates, in front of the house. He would visit her often, and again, just urge her to, be strong, urge her to do what she had to survive, urge her not to tell anyone that she's Jewish, and just urge her to be kind and charming and to please everyone and charm everyone. And again, I want to take a moment to say that this, again, was sex trafficking. These girls were stolen from their homes, forced into this. They were in very dangerous situations, and they knew they were in danger. So when I say how, charming Esther was being and how Mordecai was telling her to hide her ethnicity and all like that, it was for her safety, because the other choice is basically death. But she does very well. She charms everyone she meets. Basically, immediately after she got there, she charmed Haggai. They were there for 12 months, getting the beauty treatments and everything, and Esther was soon the eunuch's favorite. And he set her up with special foods. I don't know exactly what that means, but he put her on a special diet, basically. He put her on special beauty treatments and gave her special beauty products. He set her up with a bunch of royal servants and gave them the best rooms in the house. And she was well cared for. They stole this girl from her family. They're forcing her into sex trafficking. So even when she's being pampered, this wasn't a good thing. This is still a very bad thing that's happening. I just want everyone to kind of understand that. Yeah, we get that, right? But she's the favorite, so she's getting all of the treatments, just like everyone is, but she got the best servant, she got the best house, she got the best diet plan, whatever, so she's top model. Okay, Haggai loves her, the eunuch loves her, so she's getting all the best. What Haggai is also doing, what the eunuch is also doing, is training them to please the king. Yay! Sex lessons from a man to a bunch of girls. It's so good. It's literally a brothel. So I'm interested too to know how he taught them how to please a man. Was he just with a whiteboard and a pen being and here's the penis, and here's what you do? Was it very much like that Friends episode, 777, that one? I'm curious. Or did he have to bring in help? I'm kind of thinking it was probably this one, because I know they wanted virgins, but like he's also teaching them how to please the king. So I don't know. And in the stories I read, it said Esther charmed and pleased Haggai. So I'm curious about the different ways they use the word please in these stories, because he's teaching them how to please the king. They are instructed at the end of their year in the house, they go and spend a night with the king and try their best to please the king in their night with him. And here they are saying she pleased Haggai. So I'm just curious, because he is a eunuch. So he's been castrated. I don't know exactly what that means though, because there are other uses for a penis other than which. So that doesn't completely. I don't know. Somebody tell me. I don't know. But I'm curious. So was he having them? No. Did he have people come in and he would watch and like instruct them, like very Game of Thrones? What's his face? That squirrely rat face guy, the one who owned the brothel. Was it kind of like that? Is that what happened? I'm very curious. I tried to find more, and there was no more to find. So at the end of 12 months is when each girl would go and meet the king. And it is said that she would go to the king in the evening and leave him in the morning. I mean, this is an audition of sorts. This is how he's choosing a wife, is by having sex with all these girls. So after the girl would leave the king, they were immediately taken to the second harem, the second women's house, and they were not to see the king again unless he called them by name. They're not going back to their families. Like, if they're not chosen to be the queen, they're in sex slavery now. There's no out. They're not going back home. That's not a thing. So they are in this harem for the rest of their lives unless the king calls on them again. That's basically what's happening. So there's a lot of stakes and confusing stakes when these girls went to spend their night with the king, because obviously there's a part of them that is disgusted and obviously scared and probably very sad and angry and obviously doesn't want to do this, but they also probably had this need to please him and to be the queen, because being a queen would be, even being his queen and knowing what happened to Vashti is better than the alternative. So they were all really trying to please the king, but obviously Esther won over. So she went to spend her night with the king, and he was just so taken by her. And they said every girl that went to spend her night with the king, he would compare her to a statue that he had of Vashti next to his bed, which is so fucked up for so many reasons that I, can't even. It's so fucked up. But so Esther immediately charms him. It said he loved Esther more than he loved any of the other girls. And it's like, I mean, he didn't love any of them, but sure, okay. But he called Esther back. So he keeps calling Esther back to his chamber. The 10th month of his 7th year of ruling, Esther is queen. So Esther is made queen. She and King Ass get married. And you know how I said that every girl was compared to the statue of Vashti next to King Ass's bed? Yeah, that statue was replaced with a statue of Esther. So nice. I'm a little confused by this part because there's different stories. But some say that Mordecai was working at the king's gate, like he was actually working there guarding the king's gate with 2 eunuchs. And some say he was just kind of outside of the gate all the time, just kind of positioning himself at the king's gate to continue keeping an eye on Esther. So I'm not sure which one is true, but basically he was outside the gate and he overheard 2 eunuchs who worked for the king, obviously, but they were plotting to kill him. This is where I'm like, my dude, priorities. So Mordecai decides to tell Esther, I'm so sorry, he decides to tell Esther what he heard and tells her to tell the king. And already it's kind of like, I'm not supposed to speak to the king if I'm not spoken to. And also, like, this is a horrible guy. Like, maybe just let them shoot their shot. If they want to do it, like, why are you standing in the way of happiness? I don't understand. So basically he's like, yo, Esther, yeah, these 2 eunuchs are trying to kill your husband. You should tell him. And she's like, I mean, I'll try. So she does. She tells him. And she's like, yeah, these 2 eunuchs are trying to kill you. And he's like, I mean, I'll check it out. And he does. And it is substantiated. So both these eunuchs are impaled on wooden spikes. Very cool. Good job, Mordecai. Fucking Mordecai. Like, seriously, this guy raped your cousin and, like, every other girl in the provinces. Like, can't you just let them kill him? Like, I don't understand what you're fighting for. I don't know. It's weird. It's strange. So, at this time, there was appointed a new royal advisor, and that was this fuck, Haman. So I told you about Haman. So, in this, if you have heard the story of Purim, you know that Haman is the villain of this story. Esther is the hero, and he is the villain. So Haman is appointed the royal advisor. Yay. And Haman, like, this fuck Haman, he is so, like, head up his ass. He parades through the street, literally puts on a parade for himself. And he parades through the streets, demanding that everyone bow to him. When it's like, first of all, you're just a royal advisor, okay? It's very Emperor's New Groove. When he's like, I'm the emperor, you're the emperor's advisor, so get out of my chair. It's kind of like that. So I'm very surprised why King Ass was so tight with that fuck for this long. Because I was like, bro, he's sitting in your chair. He's talking to your peasants. He's using your seal. We'll get to that. So he is parading through the streets, demanding that everyone bow to him. And Mordecai is like, fuck no, bitch. I'm not doing that. And his reasoning, of course, is that Jews do not bow to anyone but God. Fair. So this really strengthens Haman's already pretty strong hatred of the Jews. Like, he already really hated Jews. Like, so he was so pissed that Mordecai wouldn't bow to him. And he's like, well, I want to kill Mordecai, so obviously I have to kill all the Jews. Like, it just makes sense. I think it was partly, like, he just really wanted to kill Mordecai, and it was, like, an extra kind of thing, and it's like, let's get all the Jews. But I think it was also because the reason why Mordecai wouldn't bow to him is because Jews don't bow to anyone but God. So not only is Mordecai refusing to bow to Haman, but he's getting other Jews not to bow to Haman, is what I imagine probably is happening. And again, Haman already hates the Jews, so it's extra ammunition to be like, fucking Jews. And he goes to his good buddy, King Ass, and he's like, hey, King Ass, do you mind if I kill all the Jews? And he's like, I don't know, it's a pretty weird request. And he's like, I will pay you all this money. And he's like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, no problem. So he pays the king for permission, basically, to kill all the Jews. So his plan was to have an actual genocide. Like, he was planning to massacre all of the Jews. And he set up this lot, or Purim, so like a lottery. And he set it up just to choose what the date was going to be. And he chose the 13th of Adar. He sends out a royal decree with the royal stamp with King Ahasuerus' name on it. That basically he's sending soldiers into every province, kill all the Jews. Obviously everyone knows about this, and all the Jews know that they're about to get massacred. So obviously Esther knows about this because she's in the palace, and Mordecai knows, obviously, because he's leader of the Jews, and he's in the place, so he knows. So he goes to Esther and is like, you've got to do something about this. And she's like, what the fuck, dude? You are putting so much pressure on me. I am a fucking child. It's just fucking ridiculous how much pressure he puts on her too. Like, he just disregards the harm he's putting her in, but the way he sends her into the king is just like, just this whole time it feels like he is just using her, like everyone is using her, and she says she'll try. So like I said, at this time the king just really loved Esther. He was like, you can have whatever you want, your butt's the mom. So she says, well, I want to invite you and Haman to a banquet in my honor, and there I will tell you what I really want. What I really, really want. But at this time, Mordecai is with all the Jews. And he's like, basically, we're just gonna pray, and we're gonna fast, and we're just gonna try to get through this. And while he's doing that, Esther is with the king and Haman. So they go to this banquet, buttering them up and charming them. Like I said, everyone who laid eyes on Esther was just like, she is awesome. She's the best. And he's like, my love, you can have anything. What do you want? And she somehow brings up this massacre that's about to happen to all the Jews. And she's like, yeah, so this is happening. And he's like, yeah, it's happening. And she was like, okay, well, I have kind of a problem with it. And he's like, oh, why do you have a problem with it? She's like, well, because I'm Jewish. And so again, the whole time, since the moment she was taken, Mordecai has really pounded into her head how important it is to keep her nationality a secret. And she has the whole time. So all the time that the king has been with her and has been married to her, he had no idea that she was Jewish. But she convinces him that this is, a horrible thing because Mordecai, the one that your royal advisor is so mad at that he now wants to kill all the Jews, well, that's my cousin. And he raised me since I was a baby. Please don't do this. This is what I want. Please don't do this. And so the king is like, King Ass is like, oh yeah, put a stop to this. This is now the 13th of Adar, when all the soldiers have departed and they're going into the cities to kill all the Jews. And King Ass gives permission to the Jews to attack and kill their enemies. Basically meaning he was giving permission for them to fight back. This is like the 4th century BC or whatever. Like, how did he get that word out? Like, how is he like, oh, stop the presses, you know, Jews, you can fight back. But basically, either he gave permission for them to fight back, or he just pardoned everyone who did fight, and all the Jews fight back, and a huge battle ensues, obviously, and then the Jews are victorious. So they take down, so Haman is hanged. They took down the king's men who were coming to kill them all. They succeeded in their battle. And yay! And there's no repercussions because the king is like, yeah, go out and slay all your enemies. Like, I'm so sorry. I was just gonna, like, let you guys be killed. My bad. Kind of thing. It's like, I'm so sorry, bro. My bad. My B. So the 13th of Adar was supposed to be this huge extermination of the Jews, but instead a great battle was fought. The Jews won. We won. Haman was hanged. Mordecai took his place, was made royal advisor. And on the 14th of Adar, we all celebrated. And we celebrated Esther. That she was a big part of this. Like, without her, I'm sure the king would not have been swayed to be like, yeah, we need to put a stop to this. So all the stories I read paint, and all the stories I heard as a kid, always paint Mordecai as another hero of this story, that he was just as brave and just as true as Esther when he didn't fucking do anything. Like, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Esther was actually the one who told the king that she wanted to have a celebration every year. She wanted to have a huge feast, a huge party. She wanted to commemorate every year their escape from extermination. Like, this was obviously a very big deal. It's still a very big deal. It's why we celebrate it. So she asked the king's permission to have, well, not even ask permission. She was just like, this is happening. Every year, on this day, on the 14th of Adar, we are going to have a celebration. Let's also remember what actually happened to this girl. She was stolen from her family. She was forced into sex slavery. You know, like, very traumatic. Like, she was raped. It's just awful. So it's like, we give thanks and we remember her and how brave she was and how amazing she was and how we would all be dead without her. But also, like, I'm so sorry that this happened to you, that this had to happen to you. Like, it's just awful, obviously. It's just horrible. So in places like Jerusalem, we celebrate on the 15th because during the battle wasn't completely won until the 14th of Adar in the walled city of Shishun. So therefore, in cities that were enclosed during the time of Joshua, celebrate on the 15th instead of the 14th. So being in America, I will celebrate on the 14th, which is the 26th of February, and Jerusalem will be celebrating on the 27th, the 15th of Adar. But, you know, our celebration is pretty cool. So, on the 14th or the 15th of Adar, every year we get sloppy fucking drunk. That's basically the whole holiday, is that we dress up. Usually women and girls will dress up as Queen Vashti or Queen Esther. Okay, another edit note. We do not just get drunk and dress up. It is not just a fuck away holiday. A big thing of Purim is to give back, is charity, is to take care of your neighbors and your friends. Usually people will put together a gift basket of sorts and give it to their neighbors or someone that they know is in need. I wanted to, unfortunately, I did not have any money this year. I really wanted to give to a charity that works with ending sex trafficking, especially child trafficking. That's usually what I do every year. But I really encourage everyone to, even if you don't celebrate, just take a moment after you've heard this story to just think about, even if you don't believe that this actually happened, things like this do happen all the time with sex trafficking and child trafficking, and it's just important to give everything that we have, if we have it, to that cause of ending that. Or just, take the day, it's past now, but take any moment to really give back to your community and to strangers, especially right now with everything that's happening. It's really important to support each other and to try to give anything we have, even if it's just our love, our prayers, our time, anything we can to really help out our community and our neighbors and our brothers and sisters. So that is the real meaning behind Purim. Like, yes, it's fun. We do get drunk. If you drink, I don't drink. But if you do, you can get drunk. We dress up as Esther or what have you. So it's fun. But a big thing really is giving back and charity and just coming together as a community and loving each other and just celebrating being alive, basically. Yeah, end of note. So that's the end of this Purim story. If you are celebrating, if you do celebrate, happy Purim. Get sloppy drunk if you still drink. I don't drink anymore, but get sloppy drunk. That's our favorite thing to do. And just have a good Purim. And if you like these videos, I don't know, check back in. I might do another.